third lesson is called what?
Counterfeit.
Counterfeit. So we kind of like this one. So I'm going to give you the chance to emphasize how very important this is to stay away from counterfeit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The reason the human race needs to be saved, okay, and needs to be transformed and made different is because in the very beginning, Eve succumbed to a counterfeit calling.
Right.
Okay? Satan tempted her, the serpent tempted her, and made it sound as if her calling was to be like God, but that God was preventing her from becoming like God, not realizing that she was already like God by virtue of being a creature created in His image. Okay? And Satan tempted her to exalt herself rather than glorify God and let Him exalt her, which He already had done by making her a creature created in His image. She was already exalted, so was Adam. We were the pinnacle. Humanity is still, but was already in the beginning the pinnacle of creation. Okay? We were the governors, the creatures most like God. And so Satan lied to her to get her to follow a calling that he gave her to exert and exalt herself and sort of promote herself rather than glorify God and let Him do the promoting. Right. Counterfeits are tricky. They can appear to be good. Right. I mean, think about Eve. The food is meant to eat. God created food. It was a legitimate desire she had. Wisdom is to be desired. That's why we have literature in the Bible that's titled or called wisdom literature. It gives us wisdom, Proverbs and Ecclesiastes and Job. And so food was desirable. She was supposed to want food. And wisdom was to be desired. She was supposed to want that. Right. To be like God was to be desired, but not to exalt self over God, and not to put carnal desires for food and wisdom above God. God was the source of wisdom. Why would you go away from His wisdom that told you not to eat of the fruit and eat it? So she was tricked into following a counterfeit, and the cost of that was a fallen humanity and a cursed earth.
It's been X thousands of years, and we're still kind of onto that still.
We're still dealing with it.
And how do you see that kind of play out in the church today? Like,
some people will follow a calling that they feel will glorify self. I occasionally run across a young man who wants to be a minister. And I've talked to him, and in talking to him and inquiring about his calling and why he wants to be a minister, it's for self-glorification. It's to be the center of attention. It's to be the leader. It's for selfish reasons. And I believe that there's some genuine, decent desire in him to be a minister of the Word, but it's choked up by the thorns of desire, so to speak. And he wanted to glorify self rather than glorify God and lead people to God. It sounded like he wanted to lead people to himself. And that's the trickiness of counterfeits. You have to really examine your motives and see, am I doing this for God, or is this selfish? Do I love the attention? Do I bask in the attention and the focus I receive? If that's the case, then we need to check ourselves, because it's probably a counterfeit. Now, we could let that calling go, and God may bring it back for righteous reasons and let us still fulfill that. But we have to be conscientious of the fact that we have an enemy. We've had an enemy from the beginning who has been the king of counterfeits and tricking people into following counterfeit callings. And the cost is so devastating that it can ruin one's life, and it can rob the church of that person's true calling. When we don't fulfill our true calling, we're robbing people. We're robbing people of the gifts that we have, that God has placed in us to give them. I've said it before in sermons. Your spiritual gifts, talking to others, don't belong to you. They belong to me. And I'm coming to get that. That's for me. I need it. There's something in you that I need. And if you don't provide that and you follow a counterfeit, I'm not going to get what I need from you, Kirk. So we need to think of it that way, and that's what I'm explaining in this quarterly, in this lesson.
So you're touching something that they have something that you need, like Ephesians 4 all over, right?
Right.
To supply what each joint lacks.
Right.
And I used to say to the people that we can't get to where we need to be as a church until we all kind of supply what each of us need. So the other reason why sometimes I think some people will go after the high ministries or like the pastoring and stuff is because we don't have everyone that says what you just said or that I just said, to say that we need other things too.
Right.
And so they only give respect to the pastor and to certain things, but they wouldn't show the same respect to a person that sings or to a person that reads. And so the thing I used to say to church members is, if a child goes up there to do something, it's not preaching and it's not this, but you give them your full attention.
Right.
Right. You show them the respect that they need.
Promote them.
Because all of it is needed. And not have them shift their attention to, I want to go towards the gifting and the callings.
Right.
That get all the attention and respect if we start to respect every gift. And I think you kind of talk about it.
Right.
In the study that talks about promoters, right? So
we're going to get to that one too.
Soon, but
this audience, again, is the church, and we need to make sure that even as Christians who have been Christians for a long period of time, we can still follow counterfeit callings. You know, we can still be trapped in. And
for years and years.
Right.
That's the thing that I'm scared about, is that you can be stuck in a counterfeit for almost all your church life.
Right.
I mean, we're still stuck in one from Eve almost. Right.
Right. We're still dealing with that curse.
Right.
We have a cursed flesh, a fallen nature, and that's because she followed a counterfeit that was presented to sound good. You know, it's a good thing to want to be a pastor or a minister or whatever. You know, but what are the motives?
Right.
You know, and if the motives aren't God focused and God centered, it's probably a counterfeit. You know, so and you're right, Kirk, all the pieces of the body, all the people that contribute to just a Sabbath service are critically important. We have a wonderful team of MCs, people who do announcements at the beginning, master of ceremonies it is. We have great groups of worship leaders. We have wonderful sound techs, and it requires all of that in the greeting committee. And you know, it's really necessary to have all that. What would we have without it?
Right.
You know, and so pastoring isn't the greatest thing in the world. You know, we're all part of this mission, and we need to understand that and not be tricked into this counterfeit.
Right.
So
stay away from counterfeit, because it actually keeps you from doing your real thing anyway.
it truly does.
So we are in lack essentially. So counterfeit, bad. Stay away from it.
Right, and check your motives. People work really hard to make these videos possible, and so I'm going to ask you to give. We need donations to keep these things going. They're great helps for the Sabbath School Quarterlies, and as a 21st century vibrant church, we need to have videos. We need to be online. We need to reach people that way, because we're in a technological age. And this is how you meet the needs of the people, doing things like this. So I am going to ask, even though I'm not governing over this and not a manager or anything, I'm just one of the grunts. I know how much this cost, and I encourage you to find some way to contribute, some kind of contribution, some kind of donation. It will really go a long way.